Hey guys, Darth Deuce here with another video, and today something kind of different. I don't usually review or do videos on Transformers, even though Transformers is a major part of my collecting and one of the biggest things, one of my favorite things that I like in terms of, besides Star Wars, it's like Transformers. I absolutely love Transformers. And I collect a lot of Transformers, but don't just do reviews or videos on them. Other people do their videos for them, and they do a better job. I'll let them do it. But this is a figure I definitely wanted to talk about. And this is, the Transformers Legacy Voyager class Armada Starscream. Armada was the first Transformers series that I was ever really exposed to, or really like consistently exposed to. Armada was my G1. That's what I grew up with. That's what exposed me to all of this. And really, I can probably thank Transformers Armada for just collecting and liking all that sort of stuff in general. I think maybe when I was really, really young, I might have watched a bit of Beast Wars and Beast Machines, but I really don't remember that because I was so young. But I do remember watching Armada. And even though maybe it's not the absolute best series ever, I still really, really love it for nostalgia reasons, of course. And I think Armada had one of the very coolest versions of depictions of Starscream. Kind of very different from how they usually depict Starscream. And I always loved the design as well. And not only was Transformers Armada the first Transformers I was ever introduced to, but Transformers Armada Starscream was the very first toy that I ever really had in terms of an actual action figure. And I have him here. I have my original Transformers Armada Starscream after all these years. This figure's like 2 decades old now, but I do still have him, and he's actually complete and in pretty good condition. Besides, he has yellowed and it was a bit dirty. It took him a long time to yellow, actually, I'll be honest. He stayed not yellowed for a long time, but he has succumbed to the yellowing. But I will be doing comparisons and whatnot. Armada Starscream. This is kind of like the Starscream I always wanted back in the day. The biggest issue with the original Starscream and just Armada figures in general, that their articulation was really bad on most figures. They prioritized gimmicks and play features over articulation in that line. And so I always wanted the sword wielding, because Transformers Armada Starscream was a sword wielding character. And I always wanted to have him doing more crazy like sword poses, but never could because that figure was so limited in posability. And they made a Armada-inspired Starscream in Generations of a number of years ago, because he looked like that in the IDW comics for a little while. But that one never... I might track that one down eventually, but this one, I think, is a lot more faithful to actual Armada Starscream. The head sculpt is really nice. He's got yellow eyes. It's a little hard to see because of my lighting. And the expression is just kind of stoic, frowning, but looks really good. All the details here, the Decepticon logos look nice. The red trimming on the wings. The red in general looks really nice. And I absolutely love this blue on the cockpit. That looks really cool. The yellow bits on the front and the yellow on the inside of these. All really nice. I like how they cleaned up the back a lot more. On the original figure, it just stuck right out, which is always awkward looking. But here you can fold up. You can still, if you want, you can kind of have it folded out if you want to. If you wanted to have the full original experience, but I do like the folding down. And the colors on the arms look good. And you got the legs. I always loved how the fins were kind of on the knees, and that always looked really cool. And the feet. The one thing I will say is that I wish there was more color put into the legs on the original figure. It's mostly black, but there is a fair amount of gray here, and the feet are gray as well. I would have liked to have seen that on this figure instead of red feet and just black on the lower legs. But it still looks pretty good. I really do like it quite a bit. He had these, instead of his null rays on his arms, he had these 2 shoulder-mounted cannons, and they recreated them in the figure here. You just flipped them down. On the original figure, you plugged in his Minicon, and they were spring-loaded, and they had firing missiles here. They just flip down, and you have the 2 5mm portholes that you can put blast effects into, which I think is super cool. Do wish these had a little more paint. I also kind of wish they're just a little bit bigger, but they're still very nice. I really like this a lot. And you can flip those back. The wings can pose around. You can, bend them, move them, turn them around. Head's on a ball joint, looks up a lot, looks down a bit, can rotate. He has fully moving arms going up, rotation, swivels, double hinge in the elbow. Unfortunately, no wrist swivel, but he actually does have a waist swivel. It is hindered a bit because he's got this big cockpit of the ship or the jet on the front, but it still does move a bit. You can get the hips like really far up. You can rotate them. You can bend his knees quite a bit. And he does have, even has a decent amount of ankle pivot, and you can move the ankles up and down. So yeah, a lot better articulation than the old figure. This is the articulation I wanted back in the day, and I'm glad that they made this figure to do that. Definitely kind of fills the kind of a part in my being, so to speak, I guess, that this exists. And I'm even kind of still surprised it even does exist to begin with. So yeah, accessory wise, he does come with a couple things. He does come with this normal sword. Now, back in the day and in the show, his wing actually transformed into his sword, and they recreated that on the original toy. It was a little awkward looking, but it still worked. And here they just opted just to make just a singular molded accessory and not make the wing do that. But you can hold it, and it also has pegs on the side, so if you wanted to, you could peg it like on his arm or on like other spots if you wanted to, I guess. But you can hold it, and that looks pretty good. You can't really easily remove the wing to kind of recreate that. It is on a mushroom peg, so you could probably push it down and get it out, but it's not the easiest to do. So I haven't bothered to do it because I don't want to break it. And I wouldn't have anywhere else to put the wing anyway, so I just keep it on. But that looks pretty cool. But another accessory you get, which is really nice, is you actually get the Minicon Starsaber. So back in Armada with all the Minicons, that was the gimmick. 3 plain Minicons combined, you make the Starsaber, and they've recreated it here, which looks really cool. And they colored it blue because in the show it glowed blue. And so that was kind of a thing. It's got the 2 pegs. What I will say is this is a little small. It is actually about the same size of his normal sword, so I don't think it's like too small per se. It is a little small. For it being, the Star Saber, I would have liked it to maybe be a bit more bigger, a bit mightier looking. But still pretty cool they included this at all. And he holds that well in his hand as well, or you get it to give it to other figures if you want. It's up to you. Multiple characters in the show ended up wielding it, but that's really nice. And yeah, not too much to say, but I'm going to bring in the original figure. And as you can see, the original figure is a fair bit bigger. I don't know what the class sizes were back in the day, but Starscream's a Voyager, and he's about your average size for a current day Voyager. Pretty decent size, I think. But yeah, that's what they look like. Obviously, the old one, I think, still looks pretty good, actually. It is just kind of awkward looking because his pose ability's terrible. Like, there's pretty much nothing you can do here with this. Like, you can move his legs a bit, but they just move forward, and you can bend the legs, but there's not really much else you can do. They don't go apart or anything like that. There's these rotations, but they don't do anything. The arms can only rotate, and then they can kind of move up and down, but again, they don't do much. I did like the head sculpt on the original one. He had this funny smirk on the go. I always thought that was cool. I always love it when Starscreams have smirking expressions, so that was always really nice. He did come with his Minicon partner. What I still have, he's a bit damaged, doesn't have his fin anymore, but you could plug him on the back, and he is supposed to unleash his cannons here, but yeah, the little peg in the hole for Swindle is broken off, and it probably needs to hit that, but you can just push them together, and then those would flip out, and then you can fire the missiles, which is super cool. As you already heard, he does actually have sounds. You can press the cockpit, and he makes a shooting sound. I have never replaced these batteries in 20 years. These, after 20 years, still work, which is crazy. But they could do that. There's a spot on the inside here. You press that. I think you could put Swindle underneath, and then you make a different sound. And then you could also put Swindle in the back and pull this back, and you make flying noises like that. So that was always fun. I always thought that was really cool. Like I said, he does have the sword gimmick. You can actually unplug this. I'll fold it out, and it would actually make his sword. Again, kind of looks a little awkward because it's just like a rectangle, I guess. It's not like a blade. It doesn't have an edge to it, but it still is pretty cool. Quite large, too, and you could have that, and that was pretty nice. But, yeah, one thing that the new figure is missing, though, is they actually didn't put any Minicon ports on the new figure. Even though it would have been pretty easy to just put them on, even if they just put some on his forearms, I think that would have been enough. But for whatever reason, they didn't do that. Even though they put Minicon ports on the Legacy Voyager bulkhead, and bulkhead's not even from Armada. But then the actual Armada character, they don't give Minicon ports. I don't get it. Not a big deal or anything like that, because it's not like I would really use them that much, but still, it's kind of weird. But transformation-wise, these guys are actually pretty similar. The new one's only a little more in depth. I don't usually show transformations on camera, so if I'm not super clear on showing it, but you can fold it back and you like straighten out the arms. You can open up the arms, fold in that hand, and then we'll fold those arms later, but you can kind of turn the wings and kind of get them sorted, and you can pull out the everything kind of just rotates like this, and you can kind of just push the head down. These little fins here you pull out, and everything kind of straighten everything out on the top there. The legs are the most kind of awkward, I guess. You rotate them, I think. I'm kind of just doing this on the fly. You open up these panels, flip in the heels, flip that panel, fold in the feet, and then kind of, and you kind of want to fold in the legs like this, I think. I might be doing this. I don't know. I might be doing this wrong. We'll see in a second. I feel like maybe I wasn't supposed to rotate the legs. I haven't done this in a few days, so I'll have to apologize. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, you don't rotate the whole leg assembly. You kind of try to fold those in. I've had the... There we go. The legs are definitely the most finicky part, getting them folded in properly. And you kind of have to take these two bits here and you kind of put them together. I'm sorry if this isn't clear. I would definitely recommend watching someone else's actually good video if you want to know how to actually transform this. But I'm just kind of showing it, and you just kind of fold up the arms. Trying to do this quickly as well, which is kind of a pain. You kind of fold up the arms, and then yeah, you pretty much have Starscream in his jet mode. It's pretty simple, very similar to the original figure, but does it in a better way basically. And the jet mode looks really nice. You know, you get all that same detail. I again love that blue for the cockpit window. I think that's really nice. He's got multiple portholes, so you can store his accessories on the figure. Obviously, it doesn't really make any sense for him to have this sword on there because it's supposed to be his wing, and having the Star Saber kind of peg makes like no sense. But for storage purposes or whatever, you know, you have the option. For the original figure, it is very similar but a lot easier. But you fold up the wing because you need that, and you fold those up, fold in the hands. Oh, press this gun thing. You accordion in the arms, and you unplug this. One cool feature I will show now that I've attached the torso is that if you push in the head, and then when you're transforming back in roll mode, when you connect the torso, it actually does spring load. The head comes up. I always thought that was a fun little feature. You flip up that, turn these, kick in the heels, rotate these around like so. It's a lot easier. Fold them, straighten them out, fold them back, they click in, and then there you go. You have the old one in its vehicle mode, and again, looks really nice. All that detail I think looks really good. This one actually does have working spinning wheel landing gears on them, which is pretty nice. Again, you still have all those sound effects and all that stuff. And obviously he is a fair bit bigger. But yeah, not too much else to say, I guess. Obviously you got the Minicon there. Would have been pretty cool if the new one came with a Minicon. I get why they didn't. That would probably make the budget more, and then they'd be starting to try to make Starscream a leader class. So I'd rather they omit the Minicon and make them not a leader class. But yeah, very cool. It's super cool to see the evolution of how far this Transformers engineering and quality has come. This one is still cool. Don't get me wrong. The old Armada figures definitely have their charm. And I'll even say I think I prefer the old vehicle mode. It's just bigger, has some cooler details, has the lights, not lights, but has the sounds. And I feel like the head on this one folds in a bit nice, goes in a bit nicer. But the new one is basically better in every way, better articulated, better quality, just better. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any much else to say. I'm just very happy that this new one exists. And I'm still happy that I was able to keep the old one and keep it all pretty much complete and intact. It's got its little issues, like damages, but overall, it's still in good shape. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching. Been interesting to see how this video does. I don't usually do Transformers videos, but maybe I'll do some more Transformers videos in the future. Let me know if you want to see some more Transformers stuff, because I do really love Transformers, so I wouldn't mind making some more videos maybe if I can think of something to do. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next one.